up like a clamshell. Number 3 is a seated hip flexion exercise. Hip flexion is really important because it works those hip flexors, those psoas muscles up in here. And again, even though it really works the hip, that has a lot to do with the knee as well. It helps strengthen the knee because if our hips are working properly, our knee is working properly. If something's going on here that's weak, it can affect our knee as well. So those are important to do. Knee strengthening and general type exercises, even though it's called hip flexors. So let's take a look at that exercise. For seated hip flexion, make sure your back is nice and straight when you're doing the exercise. Just bring your knee straight upward. Number 4 is a seated long arc quad. We call it LAQ sometimes. For the long arc quad, it's working your quad muscle. And again, the quad muscle is so important to the knee because it helps extend or straighten out that knee. So a lot of times after an injury or a surgery, this quad muscle isn't working at all. Sometimes it won't even activate. So it's really important to keep this muscle strong and work that to make the whole knee stronger because it has so much to do with the strength of the knee and the tracking of the kneecap. So let's take a look at that exercise. For seated knee extension, just bring one foot up and squeeze that quad muscle as tight as you can, then slowly come back down. Number 5, squats at a chair. So squats are the perfect exercise for the legs, the knees, the hips, all those muscles there, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. Any kind of squat is great. I like to start off with a squat at a chair, just because if you can't go all the way down, you can just sit down in a chair. But squats are super important to do them correctly. If you don't do them correctly, you're not working the muscles how you're supposed to, and sometimes then you're putting too much pressure on your knees or other areas. So make sure you're doing them correctly by watching this video. For squats for the chair, use the chair as a target. Step just a little bit away from the chair because you're going to stick your bottom back and bring your chest forward so your knees don't go in front of your toes. Squat back, just touch the chair and come back up. Number 6, lunges. So lunges are just about as cool as the squats in the sense of working all the muscles in the knee and the legs and the hips. It's the same kind of thing. It works those quads, it works those hamstrings. It's a great way to strengthen those muscles. You can do modified ones just like you can do modified squats and slowly work your way down. So it's a great exercise overall to strengthen the knee, the hips, the ankles, all the above. So let's take a look at that exercise. For lunges, you're going to put one foot out in front of you. Try and keep both feet pointed forward. Sometimes people will turn it out a little bit to try and point forward. You want your upper body to stay nice and straight, not leaning forward, and just go straight down, keeping the knee behind your toes. Number 7, step-ups. I really like step-ups, especially when you slow down the step. When we're going up and down stairs normally, we usually go pretty fast, we use momentum. A lot of times we can't tell if something's weak because we're just going and using gravity to go down, using momentum to go up. When you really break down a step-up and you go slow and you go controlled, it works those muscles, again, those hamstrings, those quads, those calf muscles. All the muscles have to work together to help get you up in a smooth control motion. So when you slow it down, it's a really great exercise for the knee. So let's take a look at that. For step-ups, make sure your step is nice and sturdy and use a cane or railing for balance if you need it. Make sure you control your step up and control it coming back down. everything nice and straight. For standing hip abduction, hold on to a chair for balance. Keep your upper body upright. Pull up your toes to lock out your knee and lead with your heel, just kicking out a little bit. For standing hip adduction, hold on to a chair for balance. Keep your upper body nice and upright. Pull up your toes to lock out your knee and cross your leg over the other. Number 10, the last exercise is going to be a heel raise. So just standing up and doing heel raises where you're bringing your heels off the ground really helps work those calf muscles. And those calf muscles are very important in the knee, in our ankles, and how we walk, and just movement in general. So having those calf muscles nice and strong really helps our knee be nice and strong as well. So let's take a look at that. For heel raises, use something sturdy for balance and put your feet about shoulder width apart. Then bring your heels up as high as you can and then slowly come back down.